Brad Wilkins, Chairman of the Forsyth GOP. Oh, because we have Brad Wilkins, everybody is connected with us on Facebook, right? Everybody's following us on Twitter. So, if you want to comment about tonight, at Forsyth GOP, that is the Twitter handle for the Forsyth County GOP.
I'm going to wander around.
The at Forsyth Tea Party, that's our Twitter handle. But then the hashtags for tonight is hashtag FCTP and Georgia Politics. You can also use hashtag GAGOP if you want, but those are the two primary, and that way we can follow each other tonight in our conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. I know how difficult it is to run these meetings, and you do a great job. And I've known Sherry for a while now, and I've been very supportive, and I've enjoyed watching your efforts here in Forsyth County politically and whatnot. You do a great job. The Tea Party should be grateful to have leaders such as yourself. Prior to you, we had Hal Schneider. Prior to that, we had Steve Boschel. So the Tea Party has had good leadership in Forsyth County. I don't know everybody here. It's kind of nice because I go to the Republican meetings and I'm getting too comfortable. I'm getting to the point where I know too many of the folks in the room, and I don't feel like I'm meeting new people necessarily every time. But tonight I'm looking around and there's a lot of new people here. So since I don't necessarily know everybody well, I'm going to take just a quick 2-minute rundown of my background, just to give you an idea of why, as a Tea Party person, you should give a flip what I think as a Republican. And the one thing I want to bring out is I've been chairman for about a year and a half. I've got about 8 more months. My term is up. We will elect a new board. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about that process because I want you involved in the process. I've always wanted the Tea Party involved in that process. Prior to that, I served 2 years on the executive committee of the GOP as a vice chairman, and before that, second vice chairman. So I've been around just a little while. But during that whole period of time, we, and there's some people in this room, we worked together to try to beat Obama the first time, and we lost. And we tried to beat Obama the second time, and we lost. And if you remember, right after Obama beat McCain, something happened all across the country. Right around December was the first one, and a little bit later on tax day was the second one. All of a sudden, people realized they had an awful lot of power when they came together. And there's something special that happens when you put a name on it. And somebody said, why don't we have a Tea Party? Right? It wasn't a political party, and it wasn't a group, and there wasn't even a Tea Party organization. It was just angry American citizens who knew we could do better, who knew one of the things we made a mistake in the first election was not coming together. We didn't work together well. And so people from all over the country started coming together. And I don't talk about it much, but the reality is, at that point in time, the folks down in Atlanta that were forming the Tea Parties, through a good friend of mine, Stella Lohman. Who here knows Stella Lohman? Anyone? Good conservative woman? Yeah. Stella called me up and said, Brad, we're doing a Tea Party in Atlanta. I got to tell you, I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't know what it meant. I thought it was something that young girls got together and did with cake and cookies and tea. I didn't know what she was talking about. Nobody knew what she was talking about. And they wanted somebody to coordinate buses and things of that nature. And I'm pretty good at that sort of thing. So I helped out, coordinated buses. And for the next couple of years, first I got to know Trilby Leach. Does anybody here know Trilby? And Bob Alpha and the good folks over there was another Tea Party in town. And I worked with them. And we did protests. We did Tea Party rallies in front of the courthouse. I've helped you guys with Tea Party rallies in front of the courthouse. Sometimes, mostly as a coordinator, normally behind the scenes kind of thing. And then we did a really big protest, almost 150 people in front of John Lewis's office. And I have the pleasure of knowing what it feels like for a champion of the civil rights movement to call the police on me. John Lewis called the police on me over and over and over that day. And the champion, the Atlanta champion of the civil rights movement, from wherever he was, did not want Tea Partiers in front of his office protesting a bill that he was about to vote on. And the police did come. They came throughout the day. We stayed there throughout the day. So that's my background. When I come to you guys and want to talk as a Republican with the Tea Party, it is kind of important for folks to know that this movement has been in my heart since it first started. I don't see the Tea Party as something different from what my journey has been the last few years. And I know sometimes, as chairman of the GOP, I have a different job now. I have roles and responsibilities. Unfortunately, it almost always has something to do with rules and regulations and processes and procedures. And I almost never get back with the Tea Party and do campaigning and all the fun things that I used to enjoy doing. But my heart has been with the conservative movement from the very beginning. That was my beginning. Karen and Beck know that we put up a lot of signs together over the years. And so when I come to you tonight and want to talk a little bit about what we can do together and kind of take it from where Sherry was just mentioning, just know that this isn't something new. This isn't the GOP coming to you and saying, now finally we get it, listen to us. Okay, this has been something in my heart. I've been working with the various Tea Parties for a long time. And so I just wanted you to know where I come from. But Sherry's right. At the end of the day, somehow we've got to defeat liberalism. And I know there's an election, well, somebody mentioned, is there an election tomorrow?
Yeah.
Is there, Michael?
I sure hope so.
Absolutely, we have another elected official in the room. So this is going to hurt you guys when you hear me say this, because you guys have been through the primaries. And I don't want this to sound crass. I personally can't care too much about tomorrow. If Michael wins tomorrow, he's going to get a phone call from me. We're going to partner and we're going to beat Democrats. If his opponent wins tomorrow, he's going to get a phone call from me. We're going to partner together. We're going to beat Democrats. That's just what I have to do as chairman. Michael knows that. That's not news to Michael. We've talked a long time. So I have to be a little disengaged during the primary. I don't really get too involved. And you're not going to hear rah-rah primary speeches from me, not for any of the candidates. But after tomorrow, I need you guys to help me do this. Forsyth County Republican Party takes campaigning very seriously. We have a campaign headquarters. You have a pen and paper handy, which I see lots of pens and papers. Write down 530 Lake Center Parkway, Suite F. It's going to be your new home. John, you've put in hours and hours and hours and hours at headquarters with over the years.
Is it the same one?
Nope, different, new place. But you know what we do at headquarters. Building signs, making phone calls, getting groups of people together and sending them out campaigning door to door. A lot like what the sheriff had to do to win his race, a lot like what Michael's having to do now. You guys already know what campaigning is all about. So all the stuff that I know you're working hard on right now. I'm rusty. I haven't had to campaign now for a couple of years, a year and a half. I need people, Tea Party people, who are fresh off the campaign trail. You guys know the neighborhoods you've been hitting. You know who are the conservatives. You know who the active voters are. You guys can help me more than almost anybody right now. Because you're ready. You're in campaign mode. You guys could switch Thursday. You could show up and start helping out. And you guys would hit the ground running because you already know canvassing, door knocking, how to do a script on the telephone. If I lose you guys, I got to go back to square one and start training new recruits and new volunteers. John, you've campaigned with me. You know there's work to be done, right?
Yep.
Now we have some exciting things this year. This is not the Forsyth County Republican Party. The state GOP finally has put in place the tools, the technology to give us the same kind of tools that the Obamas had in the last two elections. We're going to have electric list, downloadable lists for your smartphone and your PDA. So when you go out there, you're not going out with a giant stack of paper. You're going to have tools for your telephone calls. They're going to support us. They're going to give us training. They're already starting. So if you come in, you help us out, I can tell you this year is going to be a lot more exciting and a lot more dynamic and a lot more effective than what we've done in the past. What is the number? Michael can't cheat. I don't want to hear you answer this. When you're talking to people right now, what are the two things they say they're sick and tired of from campaigning? Throw one out.
Robocalls.
Robocalls? Throw another one out there. Come on.
Mailers.
That's not fair. They all knew it. Because you all felt it. Everybody knows what we're talking about. I'm not saying that we will not do a single phone call. Of course we're going to do some phone calls. I'm not saying the Forsyth County GOP won't hand out a flyer or drop something off, and maybe we'll spend some money on a mailer, maybe. This campaign, for the most part, is going to be focused on people, feet, and doors. Face-to-face, talking to people, good old-fashioned, getting in front of voters and telling them why conservatives are the right people. And it doesn't happen without most of you guys. How many people in the room strongly consider themselves a diehard Republican? You wake up every day with a red shirt and an elephant. I mean, this is what you are. You got a couple. That's good. And I need you guys. And every one of you raise your hand at work. But frankly, we've worked together a long time on different things. The Republican Party no longer can win with just those guys. We can't. We can't win with just those guys. Demographically, we're in trouble. We know we need to reach new voters. Hispanic voters, black voters, non-traditional Republican voters. It does not mean we need to give up our values. If we give up our values, we lose all you. Everybody in this room is a values voter. Is there anybody here who's not a values voter? I just don't care about the values. Of course not. Everyone in here is a values voter. So we have shared values. The Forsyth County Republican Party, all Republican parties, by the definition of our state charters and our national platforms, we are fiscally responsible. That's what we talk about, fiscal responsibility. Small government, we believe the same thing you guys believe. Another one is we are social conservatives as well. I wish I caught your name. What was your name again?
Sue Rolla.
Abomination of the abomination. This is about the three-legged stool of conservatism. Social conservatism, and I know John Paul's, I'm stealing your line. Stealing it anyways. It's not just fiscal conservatism, it's not just social conservatism, and I would throw in, as John and I talked about, it's also national security. The Republican Party has to stand on all those things. That doesn't mean, though, that every candidate and every elected official is going to win the Brad Wilkins seal of approval. I have a feeling every election and every elected official and every elected person does not win your seal of approval. And there's two big races, a governor's race and a Senate race. And since I don't see the national media here, I want you guys to be honest with me. Is there anybody in this room right now that would have trouble campaigning for any one of the three remaining candidates, Republican candidates for either governor or U.S. Senate? So that would be Deal, Kingston, or Purdue, depending on who wins it. Is there anybody who would have trouble campaigning? Is there anybody who would have trouble telling their neighbor, that's my candidate? This guy's better than the alternative. This governor is better than Jason Carter, who spent his time attacking Georgia businesses to make a political point. Georgia won an award for being the most competitive state in the country. But they didn't get the award just from the local Georgia paper. They got that award also from CNBC, and just last week, I believe Wall Street Journal came out with something. So Georgia is becoming more competitive. When Jason Carter attacks the hardworking people of Georgia and the businesses of Georgia, he lacks an understanding of economic development. And I think it's too big of a lack of economics understanding to be governor. So is there anyone here who couldn't put up a yard sign for Governor Deal? And it won't break my heart if you couldn't. I have good news for you. All right, that's good. That was the easy one. Is there anyone here who couldn't put up a yard sign, make a phone call, or get behind one of our last two U.S. Senate candidates? You want to tell me which one? Either, by the way.
Can the yard sign say Bow Lesser?
I can't print. As your Forsyth County Republican Party Chairman, I can't print that yard sign. I'll leave it up to you to do whatever yard sign you want. My point is, we can work together. We know we can. I know there's local races. I know there's bad blood. I cannot come in here, Pollyanna, and ignore the last month of campaigning in Forsyth County. I can't do that. I'm not going to be dishonest with you. I know there's bad blood. At the end of the day, though, it's no different than if we were in business together. It's no different than we were in a family and we had to eat dinner together. At the end of the day, I would put any of the current elected people we just talked about, and in fact, I put anybody in this room over the equivalent on the Democratic side. And if we can't feel that way about one another in the grassroots and mean it, then we can't go out there on the street and knock on the door and mean it when we talk about a candidate. So I'm going to say it again. I honestly believe that every single Tea Party person in this room is just as conservative, they care just as much about Georgia, you care just as much about Forsyth County. You want the same best results. You share 90% of my values. And I would pick any one of you guys in an elected office over a Democrat or a liberal or whatever they want to call themselves nowadays. And I feel that way about you, because I've worked with a lot of you guys. We've got to get to the point where we have each other's back as grassroots folks. Believe it or not, outside of this room, there's other pockets of grassroots people. And they believe really strongly in the candidates they support locally, even if you can't stand their local candidate or their national candidate. But believe it or not, there's other meetings with other Republicans in people's homes as you campaign around. You share, you go door to door, you do coffees right at people's homes. And what do you find? There's all different pockets, right, of people who care and love Forsyth County. And some of those pockets are going to work together and some of those pockets aren't. But most of those pockets are made up of voters. Most of us aren't really power brokers. We're not really the corrupt people making the money off of the graft and corruption. We're just voters. Republican voters, Tea Party voters, just people in neighborhoods that are sick of what they're seeing in D.C. People in neighborhoods who want less taxes, smaller government. They just want the government off their back. And they can't even put a name to it. They're not going around their neighborhood saying, I'm a Tea Party guy. I'm a GOP gal. Most of them, the vast majority of those voters out there, they don't really care about either one of these labels. They just know they're sick and tired of what the liberals are doing to them, and they want it to stop. And we can work together to get all those votes and pull them all together, all those coffees and homes and all those neighborhoods, and we can work together and we can defeat at least the policies that we disagree with. And then after that, it doesn't end there, and Sherry and I have been talking about this a lot. We need to start thinking of why we're electing these people in the first place. And I, as a chairman of the GOP, fail miserably at this next test. Do I do a good job staying in touch with them and sharing that value with them all the time? When they make a decision, share the value, not attack, share the value. You took this vote, it's not our value, share the value. And I fail at that. But I don't think any of us do it enough. But as your chairman, I don't do it nearly as much as I need to. We can work together on that. You guys, I know, are already talking about what your values are and how to translate that into election success and then translate that into legislative success. It's one thing to win an election, but that guy changes, or that girl changes when she gets, don't mean to, but life changes. Winning legislation, getting the budget cut, getting the spending cut, getting Georgia pulled out of federal programs. We do this for those ends. We don't do it to put our best friend across the finish line like it's a game. And it's sad, we talk about it like it's a game, and we feel like it's a game, but we've got to start stepping back and saying, what are we trying to accomplish as conservatives? Make that list, and then go after those things on a regular basis. And again, we have to do it, though, knowing we've got to work together. GOP, Tea Party, other groups. When we disagree, I want you guys to disagree with me just as fervently as you agree with me. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. I probably don't think I am wrong. But you think I'm wrong, or you think I'm wrong. Let's talk about it. Convince me that I'm wrong. If you don't feel comfortable calling up your local GOP and saying, this congressman's wrong and you're backing him and you need to do something about it, then shame on you for not calling me up, and shame on me for not doing the same with one of your candidates. So we need to be able to disagree constructively, but directly. We don't need to go on Facebook. We don't need to write nasty letters to each other. Let's, as grown-ups, talk to each other, even when we disagree, maybe even more when we disagree. And so I've been open to that, but I'll be more open in the next 8 months as I'm kind of winding down what I do. Am I really killing your time?
Oh, you got a couple more minutes.
All right. I need a quick joke. What is you guys' favorite term to describe the Republicans you don't like?
Whoa!
Okay. Is this the kind of ride that you guys are thinking of? This is a Spider-Man ride. He was a villain in Spider-Man. He wasn't very smart. He smashed down a lot of buildings and he stole a lot. I don't know if that's what you're thinking. Does anybody recognize that as another villain from Spider-Man? It's the Rhino. You don't know. It was in the movie, the new movie that just came out, right? This is what the new movie calls a Rhino. He also smashes down a lot of buildings, steals a lot, and he's kind of stupid. But he doesn't look anything like this Rhino. And the acting was a lot better here than in this old cartoon. But at the end of the day, if we are going to use that term, let's think about what behavior it is we don't like in said Republican. I'm a Republican. I'm representing Republicans. I'm standing here. You disagree with me, Brad? You didn't behave like a Republican. You're a Rhino. Or this. Tell me. Let's start talking. What was the value I broke? What was the line I crossed? One of these guys gets elected. You call the sheriff up. And you don't agree with something he's done. You could call him all sorts of names. Sure. Felt good about it. Call him up and say, Sheriff Piper, here's the decision. Give him something constructive he can meet you halfway on. This is what I didn't like. You would agree with that be better? Sure. Or, something else Sharon and I talked about, go into his office with something you'd like him to do. I want a solution. Walk in there and say, hey, I don't like this. I don't like this spending or this part of it. Walk in with a solution. Meet him halfway. You might be shocked at what you're going to hear. I know with some of our elected officials, I'm finding that if I walk in with something I'd like them to do, I get a lot further than constantly telling them what I don't want them to do. So just a quick suggestion. Do that with the party. Do that with your elected officials. Last thing. I don't know if you guys hear this enough. Does anybody feel like the GOP wants you around? Be honest with me, because this has got to be start being honest. Do you guys feel like the GOP wants the Tea Party? It's fine. It's fine.
Chairman, I think, does, but soon after it goes way down.
That is
I would say at the state level.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, there are plenty in the local who don't want us around.
Oh, yeah.
If we can't start talking about the elephant in the room,
No pun intended.
we're not going to get past this thing. I mean, if we can't start saying, Brad, yeah, oh great, you came in here and smiled and shook some hands, but most of your folks don't want us around, and you can't tell me any different. You got to tell me that. If that's how you feel, tell me that. There's a lot of good news that needs to get shared in that regard. The Republican Party is not nearly as monolithic as it appears on the surface. You've got the guys at the top with the money, but the party gets built every 2 years at the precinct level. Say this again. We build the party every 2 years at the precinct level. It's called a mass precinct meeting. It happens every 2 Februaries, every 2 years. Who here has been to a mass precinct meeting? I won't preach too much because you got a lot of good people in this room. When I leave, one time talk to them about what I'm talking about. It is just basically it's a large voter meeting all at one time, broken down by precinct. Any Forsyth County voter can walk through the door, sit down in their precinct, prove you belong there, please. You do need to belong there. You do need to be a Forsyth County voter in the right precinct. You sit at a table like this, 30, 40, 50 people, and you start building a political party. You pick a chairperson for your precinct. That chairperson then has a vote on the Republican County Committee. Republican Party Committee, County Committee picks important things like, when we want to have new people representing us down at the elections office, we pick that. When every couple of years we want to have a budget and figure out how we're going to campaign, what the tools are going to be, that county committee picked that. When something really horrible and controversial happens, and since we're only one day away, I don't believe this comment can hurt anyone's election chances, but if per se a Democrat were to run, I'm not saying a Democrat has run, but if a Democrat were to run as a Republican, it would be the Forsyth County Committee that would talk about that. And they do talk about that. We have talked about that. And we do take tough votes. And we do make decisions sometimes.
Can I point out why that is valuable?
Yeah, because I know I'm killing the time, but this is important.
So, there may be a Republican that's running for office that shows clear signs of being a Democrat pretty recently, okay? A person complained about that. It went to the Republican committee, and we had a vote on various things. On were we gonna make a statement, weren't we going to make a statement? Problem is, we didn't have enough people like you in the room to outvote the, if you wanna call them rhinos. And so you heard no statement from the Republican Party of Forsyth about this. So if you guys don't get involved, we're gonna get beat on that every time. And we can get more and more Democrats and more rhinos, if you will, running things. We gotta outnumber them, because if you outnumber them, you can beat them.
And I appreciate that. That was more detailed than this, Chairman. Given there's an active election still tomorrow, I didn't really want to go into that detail, but you can. So we don't have the same rules. But he's right. But we don't only make decisions on that. I think a more important decision that we made this year was we actually picked the questions that go on the ballot. Now, there are some people in Forsyth County that really hate district voting. There are some questions that people in Forsyth County really love and want to have a city in South Forsyth County. There's people who really love all these different local issues. One powerful tool, it's not the only tool, a tool, is ballot questions. When you go, well, you already did. When you went just a couple weeks ago, there was one question on the ballot. Raven Jennings, everyone. We had one question on the ballot. It was in support of the fair tax. And I think everybody supports the fair tax, and I think Forsyth County probably put up some really good numbers to show support for the fair tax. That got on the ballot because the county committee got together, talked about what we'd like to ask the voters this year, and voted on it. So your involvement doesn't just mean you go to a meeting and you go home. You get to be involved in part of how we pick ballot questions, and how we solve big problems, and how we pick party leadership. So you get together, you pick leaders, and then you pick delegates to go to your county convention. Those delegates will pick another chairman, or another vice chairman, or another secretary or treasurer. And then we send those delegates, they pick more delegates, and they send them down to the district, and they pick people, and then send them down to the state, and they pick more people. And through that process, we build from the ground up a political party. And Riva has been building Republican Party from the ground up for a little while.
Most of my life.
And it's hard work, isn't it? I mean, it sounds, like, okay, you guys built a political party. No. We built it from the scratch, from the ground up. And so when I look for who I want to work with in that process, I want to work with good, conservative, local people who love their county as much as I do and love their state as much as I do. And most of the people in this room, you're good people. I would love to have you guys involved in that process. I've been very supportive of getting new people in the mix. We need new people in the mix. We will win elections when we grow the party and we keep getting new people in the mix. We will lose elections when we slam the door and we shove new people out. So it's not in my best interest to lose elections. No one wanted me to be chairman to help you lose elections. I'm here to help us win elections. And we win by getting people in the party, growing the base, and that's how we win. And I know I'm way over time, and I am very sorry to the next speaker, but I want to read something really quickly. This was written in 2005, and I don't mean to end on a bummer, but I'm doing it anyways. Peggy Noonan wrote this, and it breaks my heart to read her words in 2005, because everyone know Peggy Noonan, speechwriter for Ronald Reagan? Some of the most glorious and optimistic words of the 20th century came out of the mouth of that man. And quite often, the pen that wrote those words, prior to him speaking, it was Peggy Noonan. So, when she expresses anything less than optimism, if you can't sit up and take note of that, if it can't worry you when Peggy Noonan has anything less than shining optimism for America, you really need to check your heart. And this is what she wrote in 2005. I think there is an unspoken subtext to our national political culture right now. In fact, I think it's a subtext to our society. I think that a lot of people are carrying around in their heads, unarticulated, and even in some cases unnoticed, a sense that the wheels are coming off the trolley and the trolley is off the track. That something deep and fundamental, things have broken down and can't be fixed. Reagan never would have said something like that, would he? Because during Reagan's day, that wasn't where we were headed. It gets worse. 3 pages later. This is our problem. Our elites, Peggy Noonan's not an elitist, she's not a socialist, she doesn't hate businesses, she doesn't hate our leaders. She loves the traditional American values in our leaders. We all know who she is. Our elites, our educated and successful professionals are the ones who are supposed to dig us out and lead us. I refer specifically to the elites of journalism, politics, the elites of the Hill and Foggy Bottom and agencies, the elites of our state capitals, the rich, the accomplished, the successful of Washington and elsewhere. I have a nagging sense and think that I have accurately observed that many of these people have made a separate peace. They are living their lives, taking their pleasures, pursuing their agendas, and they're going forward each day with the knowledge which they hold more securely and with greater reason than non-elites, that the wheels are off the trolley. The trolley is off the tracks, and with a conviction and a certainty that there is nothing they can do. I hate those words. But I know there's people in Forsyth County, when I talk to them on the phone, who feel that exact same way when we really share what we're feeling and we're worried about. We know that's how we're feeling. And if we leave those words on that page and do nothing else and go home tonight, this all becomes true. She wrote this in 2005. It's worse today than it was then. 15 years from now, it's not going to be better. And it's not going to be better if we're at each other's throats losing elections. It's not going to be better if good conservative, good Republicans lose state houses, lose governorships, lose Senate. The U.S. Senate under Harry Reid is a disaster. And there is only one way to make that not a reality, and that's if we work together and get him out of there. And this summer, I hope all of you help me do that. Thank you very much.
Notice the headquarters, 5:30, Lake, whatever.
5:30 sounds like when I have a beer.
I know. I thought that was the address.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is. I'm going to throw 2 more things out there. I am so sorry.
Okay, the electronic tool training is?
Okay, so 5:30, Lake Center Parkway, Suite Alley. I want volunteers on August 2nd
At?
at that address at 9:30 a.m. We're going to do a quick training on all of our new tools. We have tools that are going to absolutely smoke the Democrats this year. I mean, things that I've been wanting to have in my hands going door to door. Probably tools some of our elected local people would have liked to have had going door to door. We've got them. Okay, we're not the underdogs this time around. We've got some great tools. We've got some capability behind us. We've got a great headquarters. We need volunteers. We need manpower, woman power, foot power. We need to go door to door. So August 2nd is your first opportunity to help make this happen, not your last. We're going to go door to door. We're going to take the fight to the least Republican precincts first. That's a change from past strategy. I'm not going door to door to our most likely voters first. We're going to spend the early summer going after swing voters and where we're weak. We're not afraid to talk to anybody in Forsyth County about our values. All of you are going to be tremendous salespeople of our values. And I would love to have you guys on the ground helping me do that.